Hello, all you beautiful, amazing, spectacular tea people. Hello and welcome to the beautiful fall weather that is the east coast of Taiwan. As you can see behind me, oh, excuse me, it is absolutely gorgeous right now. And today, first off, just a big thank you. I think on the last live stream I mentioned how in August it's always slow. It's slow for everybody in the tea business, I should say. I guess if you're selling stationery, August, the end of August is not your slow time, but for us tea folks, it is the very very slow time. And it's so funny because it was literally the day after Labor Day, and then it was slow day after Labor Day, and boom, all these orders. I'm like, wow, thank you. So appreciate that always. So just a big thank you always for your support. But why don't we get started with today? Today, I guess I have to say, I don't know, is it a sorry? Maybe it's a sorry. It was I haven't. Usually, when I get all these beautiful new teas that come in, I usually do live streams and I drink them on air and we talk about them and things like that. But I haven't been doing that this week for various reasons. The biggest one simply being that I'm not back in the whole frame of things yet. I'm not back in the whole, like, I am doing this. But what came this week? A bunch of teas from Jade Mountain, a bunch of teas from Pear Mountain. I actually, should we start with that? Anyways, there's this tea here, the jasmine green tea. There is. Did we do? I think we did the Alishan. Yeah. We did the Alishan red, and then I got the Luye red in as well. So what's going to happen this weekend is on Sunday at the usual time, 10% off. There will be a lot of teas going on for sale. So what do we got? There's the jasmine green oolong. There's Alishan Gaba. There is the red oolong. So the Alishan red, the Alishan Gaba, there's this jasmine green oolong. There is, I probably should have prepared better. Anyways, the problem is that there's so many teas being put onto the site, so many of them, right? There's so many teas being put onto the site that, actually, I want to show you guys this one. This one's kind of fun. That I'm going to do 10% off of the new teas for like a week and a half while all these teas show up, because a lot of the teas have been delayed this year. So a lot of the teas have been delayed this year. And the reason the teas have been delayed this year was because for the lunar calendar in Taiwan, they pick tea based on the lunar calendar. The lunar calendar doesn't go with the solar calendar, and it was late this year, and so people didn't pick sort of their fall teas until the 20th, the 25th, things like that. So in the high mountains, they didn't pick their fall teas. Usually they pick their fall teas mid to early August, but because the lunar calendar this year, they didn't. It was stretched out, and so I'm only sort of getting those teas in now. So only now am I getting in the Pear Mountains, the Jade Mountains, the Chilai Mountains, all those different teas, only now. And so, but I'm not going to get them until early next week. But I've got so many teas that I want to release that I'm just going to release them, and I'm going to have I think what I'll do is I'll just do 2 weeks, and I'll keep adding teas to the 10% off part of the thing, and maybe I'll introduce one tea a day on the website. And so we'll do sort of 2 weeks of 10% off, just because there's so many teas, and some of them are going to come tomorrow, some of them are going to come on Monday or Wednesday. I've already got a bunch of them ready to go. They're packed up, ready to go. So we got wild cultivar, the greenish oolong, the wild cultivar. There's the sweet Asamaka. So the converter is back, but it doesn't taste. It's more on the red oolong side. So I'm going to call it sweet Asamaka, not the converter. what it was before. There's going to be like this tea, which is, I'm going to call it High Mountain Beauty. So this tea, which we're going to get to right now, is a pretty interesting one. It is quite an interesting tea, and I'm happy to get it in because the price of it is just so nice. It's just a beautiful, beautiful price. So forgive me here on these Macintosh computers. One of the annoying things is right where you stick your finger in to right where you put your finger to open it up is where the camera is. And so it gets kind of cloudy there. That's clear for the YouTube video. But this tea is from Jade Mountain. I also bought Jade Mountain Red. The problem is with Jade Mountain is the guy up there is this tea polymath, and he's got this beautiful big organic garden, and all through the garden he's got different types. He's got the Qinshin and the Jinchuan and the Four Seasons, and he's got all sorts of different types of teas, and they're all coming up at different times, and he makes batches of teas all the time. Like he's just constantly making tea. And so whenever I'm like, oh, your fall tea's ready, he's like, can I get the samples? I get the samples in. But it's not only like the fall tea, like the greenish oolongs. He's got all these things he's been working on. He's got experiments. He's got this. He's got that. He's got all these beautiful, beautiful things. And this is one of them. And this, like I said, I'm going to call it High Mountain Beauty. And the reason I'm going to call it High Mountain Beauty is because it is a high mountain oolong, right? It's unavoidably a high mountain oolong, but it's been bitten by bugs and it's treated. Now I'd have to sit him down and be like, what did you do? What did you do to this tea? Like, did you mun it, put it in a bag and make it humid for a while? Did you heat it up? Like, what did you do? Or did you just let it sit and oxidize more? Like, what did you do with this tea? Because it is a high mountain oolong. In a minute, I'll show you the leaves and how it looks. It's been bug bitten. And if you're on the spectrum between sort of, here's, the Eastern Beauty, Oriental Beauty over here is a high mountain oolong. It's sort of right about here, right? It's right about here on the, I don't know, should I be able to do that more? I don't know. Anyways, it's right about here in the spectrum. And so you're getting this, it's high mountain oolong, but you're also getting the sweet notes and the beautiful floral Eastern Beauty, whatever that is. You're getting this beautiful Eastern Beauty-ness on this tea. And I got it in and I drank it and I was like, it's like, dude, what did you send me? What is this? And it's this amazing hybrid. And what I could do is I could market this and call it some crazy name and sell it for huge amounts of money. But I'm not, because it's not that expensive. And I'm going to be able to, share this tea for a decent, affordable price. Are we talking about Guifei? No. This is not Guifei. So in general, Guifei oolong is a lower elevation, picked in the heat of summer, and I hope you're doing absolutely wonderfully well this evening. It is oftentimes it's. I'm not a big fan of Guifei, right? I'm not a big fan of Guifei. It's sort of a red oolong that's been bug bitten. If it hasn't been bug bitten, then they call it red water oolong, right? So that's the what they do with that tea. So the red water oolong is a Guifei oolong that hasn't been bug bitten. A bug bitten a red water oolong is a Guifei, and it's usually made by people who really know their stuff to make Dongding oolongs or those types of oolongs. And so Anyways, it's not really my style. I'm not the biggest fan of Guifei, although the one we have on the site right now is good. This is much more like I'm going to call it High Mountain Beauty, because it is like a, like I did this, over here is High Mountain Tea, over here, or well, actually over here is High Mountain Tea, over here is the Eastern Beauty. On the spectrum, it's sort of around here, right? And so it's got these real interesting taste characteristics of the sort of the Oriental Eastern Beauty. And just looking at it, the bug bites are pretty dramatic, right? So the bug bites on this tea are quite dramatic. Now, these are thrip bites. These are not the bug bites that you want to see, right? So let's see here. I'll put it up to that camera first. Can you see it? Yeah, there you go. So you can see those are the thrip bites. Yeah, that's a good one for the YouTube there. You can see. So the thrip bites are like cigarette burns, basically, on the leaves. And when there's thrip bites, that means that there's also going to be the green leafhopper bites, generally speaking. But you don't want too many thrip bites because they're nasty, bitter, gross. You don't want the thrip bites, but you do want the green leafhopper bites. And this is just covered. It's anyway. So when it opens up a little bit more, I'll take the camera down and I'll show you a close up of what this looks like. And it's very, very obviously been beaten up. Well, beaten up. Anyways, it's been manipulated more than your average High Mountain Oolong. Am I wrong, or are Guifei usually teas less oxidized than Hong Shui? So we're getting into definitions that are geographically variable, and we're also sort of getting out of my wheelhouse. And what I mean by that is, I am 100% a Taiwanese tea expert, right? I am a Taiwanese tea expert. For Western-facing people, like people who drink Taiwanese tea, I 100% will put myself up against anybody in the world. We can go toe for toe. I'm a Taiwanese tea expert. But I am a East Coast specialist. I am a Pingling specialist. I am a various parts of Alishan specialist. And I am not a specialist for the areas that do the Hong Shui or the red water oolongs. I'm not really like the Dongding area and the Shanlinshi area. Oh, I can pick out the best teas, but I don't know all the stuff that's going on around there. And so when you ask the question, it's a very valid question, right? Are Guifei usually less oxidized than Hong Shui? For me, my perspective on it is no. They would be very, very similar. That being said, I've had Guifei and Hong Shui all over the place because those teas really are how best to describe it? They're the leftover teas. They're the people up on those places in those areas that make beautiful High Mountain Oolong around Shanlinshi, those types of areas. They make beautiful, beautiful, beautiful teas. In the summertime, this is sort of an afterthought, right? It's like, I can't make a green oolong. It's too bitter. So I'll oxidize it a little bit more and I'll create something else. And what they create, sometimes they call it Hong Shui oolong. Sometimes they call it Guifei oolong. Sometimes they roast it. Sometimes they don't. For me, I would say that Hong Shui and Guifei usually are very similar oxidized, but I would also say that oftentimes the Hong Shui oolong is a little bit less oxidized, but also roasted, right? So they'll roast it a little bit more, put a toast on it. Because you can't, or you shouldn't, roast bug-bitten teas because the high temperatures really mess up. The high temperatures really mess up the bug bittenness, the aphid bites. It really messes it up. That's why, you really shouldn't be using boiling water on bug bitten teas as well, because it burns off. It really does. It burns the bug bitten honey flavors that come off of it. And but it's a very valid question. That's how I would answer it. And we have just gone deep, deep, deep into tea nerddom, Taiwanese tea nerddom with that one, geographically specific even. But that's one of those things, right? If you ever see somebody who calls himself a tea expert without a big asterisk, run away. If you see the tea master, the tea master with no asterisk on the road, kill him. sort of a parable, because tea is so amazing, so variable, so just spectacular, right? In every way, that you have to be able to have an asterisk if you call yourself an expert with tea, right? You can call yourself a generalist, no problem, but you got to say like tea expert, generalist, tea expert, matcha, tea expert, like that. It's a tough one. It's a tough one for sure. Nice to know about the bug bite heat relationship. It's extraordinarily important because usually bug bitten tea is expensive. So usually good bug bitten tea is extremely, extremely expensive. We're waiting on usually I think it's September when the competition happens, right, for the honey fragrance black tea. And my buddy has a couple good ones this year. But the honey fragrance black tea competition, when that happens, I'll try and get the best tea that I possibly can. And those teas, they're not cheap. They're not cheap. Think about a good Eastern Beauty, Oriental Beauty, right? They're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. And so you do not want to be using high temperature on those teas. You don't. You absolutely don't. Okay, here we go. Let's see. So I'll just sort of show you what I'm talking about here. You can see the pick is definitely an oolong pick. And if he had picked this tea, right, so you can see there's the oolong pick. But if he had picked this tea in just the tops, just the tips like that, it would have been, anyways, he could have made a lot of money. Can I ask what approximate elevation and area this one you're having came from? This is Jade Mountain. And so you're looking at, his garden's quite big. So it's anywhere from maybe 1,100 to 1,400 meters above sea level. And it's fully organic. So the whole thing it's sort of off by itself a little bit. Like the Jade Mountain area doesn't have too many tea. Well, there's more and more, but doesn't have that many tea areas. And it's all certified organic. And so, he's definitely one of my favorite tea guys, just because he does. Well, he's a literal tea genius, like a literal tea genius. The types of teas he pumps out of that garden is just, anyways, there's very, very few people that are like him. Very, very few people. Oh, yeah, I'm going to let this one sit for a bit. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you guys. So here, so you can see, the YouTube people can see my setup, high tech. So you can see there, when you're looking at that tea, you can see the edges, right? So you can see the edges here. The edges are orange for the YouTube folks. And so it's been manipulated, and you can see, if you look closely, you can see tons of bug bites, right? Just tons of bug bites. And Anyways, that's going to be High Mountain Beauty when it gets on the site. And yeah. And so you can see I am still sweating a little bit. So we are in the fall, so it is not quite as what's the best way of describing it? Oppressively hot and humid. It's gotten a little bit better. It's gotten a little bit, tiny bit better, and so that's great. And okay, so but it's still, even at what time is it? 9:30, give or take. Yeah, 9:30. It's still pretty hot. It's still pretty hot. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this one. I'm just going to add hot water to it and drink it later because it's this time of year, and so we can get it. I've ordered it. Hopefully, it'll be here tomorrow. I might be able to release it on Sunday. But here you can see, this is the day. The day is the 22nd. So the 22nd of August is the Pear Mountain Pick Day. And some years, like really early years, it can be like the 10th. Usually it's around the 14th to the 16th of August in general. But this year, the lunar calendar was really, really late. And so the Pear Mountain Oolong is the 22nd, which is really late, sort of traditionally, usually. I don't know what the right word would be. Typically would be the word. There we go. All right, let's do this and jump into it because it's kind of fun. And so I don't usually have jasmine teas. Now here you can see here are some of the jasmine flowers right here. And I don't look for jasmine teas. And the reason I don't look for jasmine teas is because there's nothing quite as bad and disgusting as a bad jasmine green tea. A bad jasmine green tea is up there with, and chances are you've had one, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. There's no jasmine in it. It's all chemicals. The tea is the worst possible bitter, astringent mess of a green tea powder you could possibly imagine. The tea bag, you can look at the tea bag and there is like this color of it's basically just this dirty, disgusting brownish green color on the tea bag. And you take it out and you look at it and you're like, you stick it, and then the smell wafts up, and you're getting chemical jasmine and disgusting tea, like just gross, bitter tea. And we've all had it. Every single, well, not every single, but most hotel rooms we as human beings have ever stayed in our lives are going to have little tea bags, little jasmine tea bags. And so I stay away from jasmine tea because basically the market is so low. People who really like jasmine tea will drink that stuff. But this tea came into, like, it just showed up one day. And it's a partnership. My buddy in Mingjian made this tea with they're doing sort of a, what's the best way to describe it? They're trying it out. So they're trying to do some cheaper teas to sell to the Western market, right? They're trying to sell it to the Western market. And they made this tea. And so this is from Mingjian, and it's a 4 Seasons oolong. And they call it a jasmine green tea. But as anybody who is a tea nerd purist knows, green teas in Taiwan are not green teas. They're oolongs. And I'm going to call this jasmine green oolong. All right, so here it is, it's packed up, ready to go. It's going to be released soon. The Jasmine Green Oolong. I got some Long Yan flower tea from Shopee this past spring, and it was garbage. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. It would probably just be disgusting. But you get to use Shopee too. I use Shopee to buy all my bee stuff. I thought people in the West use like Temu or one of those other things. I didn't realize Shopee was global, because there's not a lot of English on Shopee in Taiwan. Anyways, wow. Anyways, we'll talk about the taste points on this. Be very careful with Long Yan flower tea, because it's really, really hard to make, and it's really, really expensive. And anyways, I'm hoping I can find some. I talked about it last live stream. This, from October the 5th to the 13th, there's the big tea show in Nantou, and my goal is to get heavily roasted teas and tisanes, herbal teas. Anyways, let's jump back into this tea. When you're looking at floral scented teas, you really, really have to be very, very careful, because most of them are chemical, disgusting messes. And one of the things that I'm developing I guess I'm becoming more and more proud of, is actually the amount of true and healthy floral scented teas that we have on the site. And there's a bunch of people who only order floral scented teas. And, I hear back and they're just so happy to get those floral scented teas, because the floral scented teas that, again, you generally get in the West are so disgusting, right? I did the whole, the jasmine green tea thing, because we all know it. We've all seen it. But this thing, I got this and I tried it out and I was like, what? This is, if you have somebody who drinks the jasmine green teas and you give them this thing, they will have their mind completely blown. They will just be blown, because there is, like, even brewing it like this, there's no bitterness and astringency. I mean, if you brew it for a really long time, some of it comes out. But there is an absolute healthy, and no, okay. So anyways, more than this, there's a little bitterness and astringency more than that. But there is this floral, creamy blast of jasmine, healthy jasmine flower, not chemical jasmine flower, deep, smooth jasmine flower. And it is, I hesitate to say warts and all jasmine flower, but it's jasmine, like truly jasmine. And the people have only had the chemical stuff, or they've only had whatever it is that passes for that horrible chemical jasmine tea that we've all had, right? We've all had it before. You give them something like this, and it'll, if they really love that tea, it'll probably change them, because it's so good. It's creamy, it's sweet, and because it is, it's an oolong, right? So they call it a green tea. I'm not calling it a green tea. It's a green oolong. Because it is a green oolong, you are getting a smoothness and a sweetness and a like, it's by far the best jasmine sort of greenish tea I've ever had. And I've had a few on the site before over the years, but this one's the best. And it's not that expensive, right? It's pretty cheap. All right, so it'll be, I don't know, $28 for 100 grams, something like that, right? Like, it's not super expensive. But if you know somebody who likes the jasmine stuff, they're just going to absolutely adore this, because it's got an aftertaste and it's got all those things. Now it is 4 seasons, and I'll just show you, it's sort of machine cut. And what they've done is sort of they've chopped it so the leaves sort of look like this, right? So the leaves are like this. So you're not getting the the whole deal with all the pulling out the leaves and things like that, because it scents better that way. But that's not what they're going for. They're going for you're like just a really high quality jasmine green tea, and I'm happy to have it on the site. It went out in the subscription boxes as well, because I was just like, here you go, try it out. If you know somebody like that, then let me know. But it's going to be there. Trash jasmine greens are so disproportionately the standard of the vast majority of Asian restaurants in the West. Yes, they are, and it's kind of sad, right? Because everybody drinks them, right? Everybody drinks them, and I don't have so I grew up in Toronto. There was this restaurant called King Noodle, and they would have like a jasmine tea, but it wasn't jasmine tea like a green jasmine tea. It was a red jasmine tea. So it would be like a big pot, and they'd put sticks in it, like black sticks, and then there'd be little floating things in it, and it worked really well with that sort of the greasy, the youtiaos, like the donuts and the crispy noodles. It was Hong Kong food, and it worked really, really well. And I that works. That being said, most of the time, what you're getting is exactly what I was describing: those horrible tea bags, those absolutely horrible tea bags. And if you know somebody that drinks that tea, or somebody who says, "Oh, I drink jasmine green tea for the health benefits," change their lives. Change their lives. Oh, that's what actual jasmine flowers taste like, right? And yeah. Anyways, it's a beautiful tea that I highly recommend. I highly, highly, highly recommend it for the people that enjoy jasmine teas, right? This is not a tea for if you're a hardcore high mountain purist. This isn't your tea. It might be your tea for your grandma, though. It might be a tea for your grandma, and because it's strong, it's very, very strong. And if you do decide to get that tea, please do not use a clay teapot, right? Hey, how's it going? Do not use a clay teapot. Do not use a clay teapot with that tea. Excited for the jasmine oolong. It will be a small batch. Yeah. It's what I'm going to do with the jasmine oolong, this green oolong. I'm going to see. There's going to be a lot of people who are really going to enjoy it. We're going to be like, "This is great. I'm so happy for this one." And so it might be a bestseller, or it might just sort of sit on the shelf for a while. And so I'm just going to release it and see. And if you know somebody who loves the jasmine teas, absolutely. Now, I think this is probably going to be it for now. This is the Pear Mountain. So this is the Pear Mountain. This is the 22nd, the fall Pear Mountain. I know a lot of people are waiting for this one. I was as well. And again, it was picked on the 22nd. And it took a while to get to me here. And I got it yesterday. And it was delivered on a motorbike, right? So it's delivered through the regular mail on a motorbike, and I got it and it was warm. And I was just like, no, this beautiful tea has been sitting on the back of the motorbike in the sun, like, no. And so, obviously I drank it right away just to get the different teas. And then I drank it again later on in the day because, you got to do that. You got to and this year, this day was definitely just the standout winner. And so I bought a bunch of it, and it should be here in the next couple of days. I haven't checked out any of the scented teas in a while. Do you ever get any scented roasted teas? That is an interesting question. I have tried to scent roasted teas in the past, and there was a couple times where it worked. Like we did one year, we did during the pomelos, we did an amazing experiment. So I got like a bag of tea, like all the different bags of teas, and we stuck it in the roaster and we just experimented with all of the different teas. It was really fascinating. And one of the roasted teas at the pomelo worked out pretty well, but it's really uneven. And it's the same thing with the roasted teas, right? So the roasted teas, it's really, really, really uneven. You can roast a tea and it can do a really good job. You can roast a tea and it can do a really bad job. And you have to have like a deep passion, deep experience, and you have to have a talent to roast teas. And all of those things just didn't check mark all the way through for scenting roasted teas. And so I might experiment again next year because it was really interesting, but it was really hard. It was really hard because one of them worked and then the three others didn't. And so I think it was because that one was a middle high roast and it was a little bit looser balled. But you'd have to experiment and experiment and experiment and experiment. And I don't know whether I want to spend the money to experiment without my own roaster and my own flowers. But anyways, let's keep going into this. Now, what is the standard flavor profile for your High Mountain fall picks? You're looking at butteriness, you're looking at fruitiness, you're looking at smoothness, and just beauty, right? Like it's I always joke about it. It's like it hits the Western taste points, but it doesn't hit sort of the Eastern traditional taste points. And so it's so awesome because we get this tea that oftentimes people prefer the fall time teas more than they like the wintertime or the springtime teas, but it's cheaper. And this year, same thing. It's so Pear Mountain fall, right? It's buttery, smooth, sweet aftertaste, and then it transitions into sort of that fruitiness in the background, right? There's not really floral to speak of, but that's the fall time tea. You don't get floral in the fall time tea. But I'm just happy that one of these days worked out because I tried the 3 different days, and the first day I drank it and I was like, oh no, it was a rainy day. And that was the first day was a rainy day. And this day the weather was okay. The third day tasted like a cloudy day. And they weren't bad teas, but you could taste the catch of a rainy day. And but this one the weather was nice and it's just good. Anyways, so questions out there about anything we've covered on today's live stream. So just to recap, on Sunday I'm going to release I don't know, there's 6 or 7 teas, and then I'm just going to have this I'm just basically going to keep it open for probably 2 weeks, because for 2 weeks I'm going to have all these teas roll in, and there's going to be so many teas. The Spring Louis Red Oolong is in, and it is spectacular. It's been bug bitten. I'll do a live stream on that maybe next week. Alishan Red Oolong, the Pear Mountain, Fall Pear Mountain will be released. I get released on Sunday. The Jade Mountain teas probably won't get here till Wednesday or Thursday, but the Jasmine, the Alishan Red, the Alishan Gaba, all these classic teas are going to be back on the site. And so if there is a tea that you have been waiting for, chances are it is going to be coming back very soon this week. I feel bad. I've been holding some teas back. I've been sitting on them for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I really want to release them. But I've just been waiting until everything's ready to go. And it is now for Sunday, sort of. But like I said, the fall teas were slow this year. The 22nd, I think that's the latest fall pear mountain pick ever. I think that's the latest fall mountain pear pick ever. I will also leave off where I started. Thank you to everybody who has bought some tea and supported Mountain Stream Teas, my family. You know, slow August, day after Labor Day, which would have been what, like my Tuesday or Wednesday. Boom, all these orders come in. You know, it's like, oh, Labor Day is over in the States. Everybody's getting back to school and getting back to work and doing all their stuff, and they need some fuel. They need some tea fuel. And so thank you for that. And for this weekend, there'll be 10% off all of these new teas. And I'm pretty happy and excited with the teas that are going to be released. Yeah, the Louis Red has been bug bitten. This will be like next Wednesday. Anyways, whatever. I got to go and I guess change my shirt. I am absolutely surprised that I'm still sweating as much as I am. Although, I mean, it makes sense. You know, it's an absolutely beautiful day out here on the east coast of Taiwan. And but it's been getting to the point now where it's been so beautiful for so long. We're starting to go, we kind of need a rain. We kind of need some rain. So right now we kind of need some rain. So hopefully we get some rain soon. But anyways, wherever in the world you happen to be, I hope you have an amazing morning, night, evening, afternoon. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next live stream.